when the season is early, like it is now, and your plants are getting really lush and tall, what do? What is Chelsea Chop? Chelsea Chop is something that is usually time orientated, i.e. you do it when Chelsea Flower Show is coming up. Well, I'm going to take you through what you do in an early season. Afterwards, I'm going to take you a tour of the nursery, show you what's happening, how we're getting on with the nursery, and how we're dealing with this extreme weather that we've had just recently here in the UK. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. This is Physostogia virginiana, and this one is going up and it's starting to flop a little bit. It's got plenty of water in the pot. It has just done a huge amount of lush growth. This is not going to flower until July, August. What is it doing at this size already? That's all due to the fact that our seasons are slightly different. Most of the time people will say, well, you do this in June, you do this in May, you do this in April. That's not how it is. What you have to do is you have to look at the plants and what are your plants telling you? Your plants are putting on a lot of growth. Therefore, to them, this is early summer, not mid-spring. So, Chelsea Chop is something that has been around for a long time. It's been coined as Chelsea Chop because you usually do it at the end of May, and basically what you're doing is you are cutting back your plants to restrict the growth so that they send up new growth which is not going to get as tall, therefore you don't have to stake it as much, and it's actually a very useful technique. So with a plant like this, you would be taking it all and you would be chopping off down at the bottom like so. Now it is called Chelsea Chop because you are chopping it down. It is not called Chelsea Snip because you're just taking the top bit out. That is of no use at all. Take it right down like so, and then it will send up new growth. It will be much stronger and much healthier. So that's one type you can use. Something else that you can do it on is something like this Achillea. So this Achillea, this is Achillea tarmica, and this is one of the green narrow-leafed forms. Now this is really quite condensed in this plot, and if you had a growth like this in the garden, you'd be looking at it and think, gosh, this is quite full. So instead of doing the full Chelsea Chop to this, you can do something called the Chelsea Thin. Now, a lot of the time, the reason why plant material is getting so lush and it's getting so big is perhaps you're overfeeding it or overwatering it. Now, we've had a lot of water in the spring. We've now had a bit of a drought here in the UK. We've now got really hot, and plant material is a little bit unsure of what season it's in, but it's just growing at full speed and you need to slow it down. So Chelsea Thin is whereby you just go through and you take out bits and pieces, and it's just like thinning hair. So instead of actually having, you know, a 50% amount of growth there, you're probably going to take a third out. And what happens is, with the amount that you take out of this plant, the bits that are cut back are going to grow back up at a slower rate. Therefore, they are going to help the plant, support the plant when you've left these other taller pieces in as well. So we've taken out a little bit. I think you could probably take out a little bit more. But let me explain what I mean by the fact that these lower pieces here are going to grow up. So as the lower pieces grow up and get to this height again, the pieces that have been left are up here, which means that this growth is stopping this from falling over. So it's self-supporting and it really helps it. And that just slows down the plant. It also means you get two lots of flowering height. You'll get the taller flowering stuff up here. That starts to go over. You can cut it back. The new stuff comes through and it flowers again. So that works really well. So that is Chelsea Thin. So another plant which is really good to do the Chelsea Thin on is Monarda, because Monarda, when it's congested like this, is really prone to mildew. So you are basically taking out every other stem in this plant. So you can see how thick it is here. By the time I have reduced the growth down to a half probably on this, because that makes so much difference. And you can just have a look at it and see where you've got too much growing, and then just take those out. You are going to end up with a plant which then has much more area for the wind to get through, the airflow to get through. That will stop it getting quite so much of the mildew. It also means that the growth again that you have allowed will come up, support this, and that will work really well. So that is something you can do it on. Now, a lot of the time, you are doing this to late flowering plants to stop them getting tall and flopping over. Phlox are well known for flopping over. It's very good on phlox. Also, if we've just had a really hot spell and you see that your herbaceous are really flagging, rather than giving them tons of water, which then is going to make them grow even more, why not just cut them back? They will then regrow and come through beautifully. And it stops them, and it stops you wasting water, and it makes the plant just have a stop in growth and come back up through. So something like the phlox, you would take out nearly all of these stems like so, chop off, and there you have it. You've got the phlox taken down. No problem at all. And something which is as late flowering as this hardy chrysanthemum, this is not going to flower until September. What on earth is it doing with height like this? If you leave it at this, it's going to go up and up and up, and it'll be somewhere up nearer the 4-foot height than where it should be, which is 3 foot. So this is something which you can do. And remember, a lot of the material that you are cutting off, you can always take the odd cutting. You know, that's something you can do. So we just cut through, and when you cut through the chrysanthemum, you will find there is a lot of new growth coming through from the bottom here. Sometimes people do it in this way, whereby they leave a bit at the back to go up. They let this bit come through, and then again, but I don't like that. I think it looks a little bit dumb. But remember, you can use a lot of these tips for cuttings if you really want to. There we go, all done. Chelsea chop, Chelsea thin. A lot of people prefer that to the harsh haircut. I have been asked in the past whether you can use a strimmer to do this. That's fine if it is one variety in a big batch and that's all you've got and it wants the same treatment. However, at this time of the year, in your mixed borders, you'll have one plant that doesn't need cutting, something that does, something else that needs to have the thin. So it is far better to go in with either a pair of shears if you need to, or your hand tools, and that will work far better for you. So we're going to start the tour here because this is where we have a lot of our Chelsea Flower Show stock. So different designers have come to us with their lists of plants that they would like us to grow for their Chelsea Flower Show garden. It can be a completely different range of material, but we try and grow material that we know how it will react. We've got a load of geums and hardy geraniums, Cirsium here, beautiful Anthriscus ravenswing, and then Brunnera there looking fantastic. The designers will come along, they will have a relook, have a rethink. Some things will make it, some things won't. They will give us our final numbers, and then in another week's time we will be collecting all of this material together, tidying it up, putting it onto trolleys, onto lorries, up to Chelsea, and then the next time we will see it, it will be on a garden at Chelsea Flower Show. So once we get past the huge big blocks of material that the designers want for their gardens, we then come into the areas which I use for the displays that we do at flower shows. I don't need as much material. I'm not doing huge big displays anymore. I'm doing discreet, wonderful cottage garden type displays, and that means I don't need as many plants. I will perhaps have 7 of something in the most, whereas the designers, they're wanting 30s and 40s for their gardens. So plant material out here we've got is all growing on for, well, some of it will be going to Malvern, Some of it will be going later on because there's stuff here that is not coming up yet, so that'll be going to Birmingham. Then we've got Hampton Court and Malvern in the autumn. So there is material for right the way through the year. There's also material here for me to be able to pick from, to be able to give talks here at the nursery explaining the plants and that sort of thing. So that is why there are just smaller varieties in here, and it's outside grown again, so we are within the season to try and show you when we put a display on, this is what you could have and it will be looking good. Next we will go out onto the growing beds and have a little look at what's happening out there, but before we do that we'll quickly go into the prop house. These are our overwintered stock plants of dahlia. In the winter, they're put outside to get frosted and then they come in and sit underneath the benches. Dry, empty pots, looks as though there's nothing there. And then, usually around about mid-March, they're taken out, put on top of a bench with a little bit of basal heat, given a bit of water, feed, and hey presto, they come up and they start to look fantastic. These are in such good health. And this is the time of year when we start to take a few cuttings off them as well. So before they start to put flower on, we'll be taking side shoots off and we will be doing cuttings. And we have a few extra cuttings of them on the side. We do keep them in flower like this because we need a few show plants as well to be able to show people what a big plant is going to look like. So we'll just have a look at the cuttings. So these are the beautiful tip cuttings of the dahlia, and these ones will be rooted down. They're not yet because these were only taken probably this week, so they're going to take about another week or so to root down. Then they'll be potted up later. We've got ones which were taken earlier which are on the ground down there, and they are much bigger and they've got a good amount of root. So these are the ones which are rooted. The roots are all coming out of the bottom of the tray, as you can see there. Beautiful tops on these. We will look a bit more in depth in the prop house a bit later in the month when we have our May propagation video coming out. At this time of the year, the nursery is so busy potting up, getting everything into containers, all our own production, plus other plant material that we can't produce ourselves because maybe it's got a PBR on it, or it's just a lot easier to buy it in from another company and then pot it on into our own peat-free compost. So that is what we've got here. These have all got colour labels and they are all lined out. We've done a huge amount of potting right the way through. They're excellent. Now these salvias here, this is Salvia amistad. This is one that people love. Now they look fantastic on the top, and if you were to look at that you think, oh great, I'll have that plant. But oh no, because this has only been potted perhaps, I don't know, 10 days. So there is no root there whatsoever. So that is what you've got to remember. We will not put this plant material out on our sales area or take it anywhere until it is fully rooted. Once it's fully rooted, then it could be coming to your doorstep via mail order, or we could be taking it to plant fairs, shows, or to the nursery shop. And that way we can get plants to you which are going to be good, strong plant material. They're all grown outside, they get all of the elements, and they are looking cracking at this time. Here in this section of the nursery, I've got these beautiful Mellitus mesophyllum, and they are really stunning plants. Now this is in dappled light, it's underneath our trees. The trees are here for two reasons. The first one was that they were put in as windbreaks. So this is quite a windy site, and it's really quite good to have them, and they're spaced out nicely. We have different types of malus here, so we get beautiful blossom, then we get berries, so it's very, very good for the wildlife. We've got a few birch in here as well. So we get lovely dappled light. The sun at the moment this evening is behind me, so the ones at the front there are now in sunshine. They were in shade this morning. The ones where I'm standing here are in dappled light, and it will be full shade once we get into midsummer, and that means that they get that circulation of sun and shade all the way through the day, and that's great for plant material. It means that we can put them where they would like to be. This is a woodlander. It's a cracking plant, Mellitus mesophyllum, Royal Velvet distinction, with these lovely pink tongues on here, long tubular flowers, beautiful foliage, square stems, holds itself up well. It's a little woodlander, it's a native to the UK, and it's known as bastard balm. It's a fabulous little thing. It flowers away, it's a little Lamiaceae, and it's just a good plant for the spring. It's really excellent, holds itself up nicely. It likes this situation in the nursery in the dappled light. Also in this section underneath the trees, you will notice that the areas there are not big amounts of plant material. That is because this will be stock that we had in 1 litre plants last year and was left over. It was then cut back, root pruned, put into a bigger pot and then planted up here. So it is now rooting down, it's doing really well. Some of it's coming into flower like I've got here, and all the way back down through here, all wanting to be in this dappled shade area, which is really good conditions for it. And this is a great way of having material that can go through. We pot year round so that we've always got plant material which is nicely rooted down, some material that's not rooted down, so that we've got later stock to keep on going. It's this batch potting that really helps and means that we can keep material going. Also in some of these cases we will have things that we've only got very few of anyway, so that is the reason for this being here, and then it will go off out to our various ways of selling the material. Hopefully this tour has given you a little bit of insight into the nursery and what we get up to and how much work is involved. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.